Bene's Bloody Bits.
Welcome to Triple B. My name is Jason Bene. He's Malcolm. Film story of Malcolm, but he's also a founder of the Farting Force. Harvey,
I am.
how's it going, man?
It's going good. Still feeling rough, obviously, still dealing with illness and that, but I'm doing a lot better for the most part. So, yeah, I'm doing good. How about you?
Yeah, I feel a little achy. I think the Force is not with me today, and I'm starting to feel my age. But we're going to go jump into the last of the Star Wars prequels, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, released in 2005. I will say this, it is, for me, the best of the prequels. It's the strongest. I still have some issues with certain things, but I do like how the film gets to the point. You know, Palpatine has been captured by,
Count Dooku, right?
Count Dooku. And then, of course, we have another new character that's introduced who wields a lot of lightsabers, General Grievous. But it's kind of like really leaves, takes over where Attack of the Clones left off, where Dooku is fighting Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
But this is a different Anakin. He's stronger in the Force. You know, we've already established he's killed men. Yeah, he's killed men, women, and children. And of course, Obi-Wan gets owned again by Dooku, but Anakin really lets go with the Force, because the Force is stronger when you tap into the dark side. And let's just say this is the very first PG-13 Star Wars film. And I give George Lucas credit for going there. I mean, I thought that the battle with Dooku and Anakin is the most vicious of all of them, the most violent. I mean, sawing off the head, sawing off some hands, lopping off things left and right, man. So did you like that as an opening? I mean, an opening battle scene?
I did. I thought the opening was great. I did wonder, though, when Dooku drops the platform on Obi-Wan and basically it just slams on his hip, how he got back up again. Because I literally thought he was going to be paralyzed from that moment. Even though I've seen the film before, I was like, is he going to lose that part of his bottom area, But the fight itself is just so good because it's like we got part 2 of the fight from the last one. But this time, as you said, Anakin is dark. He wears, out of everybody, wears black clothes, which is a sign of darkness, and is constantly walking around. So when he's in this fight, and Palpatine goes, kill him, you're like, oh, what's he going to do? I shouldn't kill him, but I'm going to. And when he cuts off both of his hands, it's like, my word, brutal, absolutely brutal. So let me ask you this, because I'm a little bit, of a novice on this compared to probably you and other people. Was Dooku Palpatine's apprentice?
I think he was, but because he was an older man, he was ready to replace him with somebody younger, stronger.
Oh, yeah, obviously, but I'm just wondered.
He worked for Palpatine. That's why the scene where he's got his hands lopped off, and then, Anakin's got the 2 lightsabers, and they're crossed at his neck, and he tells him, kill him, do it. And then you see Dooku, he looks at Palpatine like, what? You're really doing this to me right now? But I think he's always looking to the future. He's always wanting to, okay, this guy is angry and he's younger, and I can, hang on to him for 20, 30 years and then replace him. And that's what he does with Luke in Return of the Jedi. Okay, now Darth Vader's the old fart. Let me get somebody younger and newer, and he wants to get Luke. So it's a circle, right? He just keeps repeating himself. As long as he's protected, then he doesn't care about his apprentices. So
also, when he talks to Anakin about Platypus, or whatever the guy's name was, who could bring people back, he was his apprentice, right?
Right, Darth Plagueis. That's somebody we've never seen as far as cinematically. It was teased in the recent Acolyte series on Disney Plus, but it got canceled after 1 season, so we're probably not going to get to see him. Yeah. But I think the head games that Palpatine's been playing with Anakin really work overdrive, because Anakin's having these nightmares, these visions of Padme dying. And Palpatine takes advantage of it and says, look, the only way you're going to save her from her ultimate faith of death is join the dark side. We're the only ones that could take care of it. And I think that he plants those seeds, and it's Anakin's like, I don't want to go bad, but I care. I love her, and yeah, I think he worked him, manipulated him psychologically, got into his head.
Brilliantly as well, when you think about it. I love all the head turns where he looks at him and goes, and all this. Especially the Darth Vader bit again, when he goes, you killed her, and he goes, no, and you see him in the background go, oh.
So what did you think of kind of like Attack of the Clones? There's Anakin and Obi-Wan get separated. Anakin obviously is taking care of stuff with Padma, but also the Emperor's inviting him to a show at a theater and getting into his head. But then we have this General Grievous character who, as cool as he looks, I think it's wasted screen time when you introduce a new character, no matter how awesome it is with the 6 lightsabers or whatever. But I think there was a mistake there that they could have spent more time on Order 66, which is let's just get rid of all the Jedis. That is
instead of rushing it.
It's so. I mean, honestly, that could have been a movie in itself. Like, you could have done a movie that's just Order 66 and how you track down all these Jedi that are throughout the galaxy and then start killing them. But instead, it's probably done like maybe less than 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes.
Yeah, like they just turn on and start shooting them and all this stuff. And it's basically like a montage of just them being killed. And I got to wonder, these masters, they're not very good, are they? Because they can't even go like this. And any other movie, this movie, dead.
Yeah, I General Grievous doesn't need to be in the film. That whole chasing him down, fighting him, you could have cut that completely out of the storyline, made Order 66 maybe 20 minutes of the film. Then you have a much more interesting. I just think Lucas and his writing, that's not his greatest strength is the writing. It's more of the ideas where he's better off having somebody else put it on paper, and I think that really hurts the whole middle of the film to the end. Everything's getting condensed, and there's not enough breathing room.
Well, even the fight between Darth Sidious and Yoda feels way too short and too CGI'd. You know what I mean? And then it just feels like, Yoda's escaped. It's like, come on, there could have been more to it. And the same with Obi-Wan and Anakin's fight. It feels so over the top with the whole volcano and all this. But when you take all that away, it actually feels quite basic.
I did enjoy that, Yoda, the Senate chamber scenes where Yoda fights, the Emperor have always been, or Palpatine at this point, have always been kind of boring. Now they get to throw the chambers around. And actually, I think it's a really great scene. But it also goes to show you how powerful Palpatine is because he owns Yoda. It's not really a close fight at all. Yoda's more deflecting, where Palpatine is being the aggressor.
Well, even when he hits him and he knocks him down, Yoda goes flying. You know, I mean, it's a good scene. It just felt too short.
But we did jump past. We finally get to see Mace Windu. I mean, we saw him in Attack of the Clones, with a lightsaber, but he's figured out, Palpatine is, evil, and he's the one that's been tricking everybody, and he's clouded the Force, and people can't see it.
Tells him.
I did enjoy how we get to see how the Palpatine's face changed. That, his electricity, he shoots it at Mace Windu. Mace blocks it with his purple lightsaber. It deflects back into his face, and it just contorts and morphs his face. And I actually like that explanation.
I said to Donna when it was out now, I didn't know you were in this.
I like that, literally Mace does that and he's done. He's toast. He's about to die. And Anakin shows up and I need him. And literally Mace gets his lightsaber and he's about to strike him down. And then Anakin, cuts off his hand. Then Palpatine
in the street.
It goes flying out the window with the lightsaber itself.
One of the best bits in that scene is where Palpatine is like, "Don't harm me, please. I'm getting tired of stuff."
He's like,
And when he's Palpatine, right, and he's fighting, and he's got that grimace on his face. I was like, he looks like he's taking a dump.
But after he gets his hand cut off, and then Palpatine lights him up, and he goes flying out the window. It's like, damn, he went out in a glorious death. Probably one of the best in the whole series.
You gotta love though. You gotta love though. But when he does light him up, it's like,
almost a little bit over the top, huh? In his excitement.
It's like, is he just killing him, or is he getting off on this?
It sounds like he was enjoying himself way too much. But at that point, Anakin is gone. You know, he had literally on the spot anoints him as Darth Vader. And going back to the Order 66, they get taken out way too quick. But you don't see it all. But there's a scene where, you know, Anakin even tracks down the Jedi kids.
But did you notice that one of the kids looks identical to him when he was a kid? The one he pulled the lightsaber on. So it was him killing his innocence.
Of course, we don't need to see it, but man, you just know what he does. So again, I'm going to give George Lucas a lot of credit. He definitely went the PG-13 route. The most lightsaber battles we've seen in any of the films. I mean, there's just everybody's fighting everybody. The shortcomings of the film still kind of follow me with the other prequel movies. Some of the acting is really horrendous. Anakin in all three films is really not, you know, between, you know, Jake Lloyd and Hayden Christensen, it's really hard to like him because he sounds like such a spoiled little brat, and it's still hard to get behind him. He still overdoes it with the CGI. It's still very kind of like CGI diarrhea. It's just very you know.
And the thing this movie does really bad is no Jar Jar Binks.
Oh, I mean, other than the end, you do see him pop up. I know you love your Jar Jar, but
I don't.
He does not belong in the films. He does nothing to move the story or anything. But so what do you think about the angle? You know, okay, we have Padma. She's pregnant, you know, come to find out with twins. We do get to the point to the end where, you know, we find out why she dies, and it's from Anakin. It's from Anakin's fault. The whole time he's worried about somebody else, and I need, you know, Palpatine to help me.
Yeah,
he is his own worst enemy because he uses the Force chokehold on her, doesn't kill her on the spot, but drops her to the ground. She ends up going off and, you know, having the children. It's like, it's really hard because he's the one that did it. He's the one that ends up killing her. But
you know, it's like I said before in the other videos, she technically abused him, and this is what abuse does. It takes somebody from being the champion, you know, the chosen one, who could have saved millions, and instead she got her hands on him, corrupted him, and then basically this happens.
Well, and again, there's some inconsistencies. I will jump back. I want to say it's in Return of the Jedi where Luke finally confides in Princess Leia that, hey, we're siblings, we're brother and sister. And he makes a comment to Leia about, do you remember your mom? And she goes, not much, but something like she was always sad. Well, how do you remember she was always sad when she literally dies after she gives birth to you? So again, I feel like Lucas was very inconsistent with a lot of things. I mean, that's a big deal to say, okay, I remember. So you think when Princess Leia says that, she's 7 or 8 years old, then loses her mom. No, she dies after childbirth. She's done, you know, she passes away.
I have to be honest though, to Padme, she dies while looking very beautiful.
With the best makeup, huh?
She like just dies right there looking perfect. It's like the whole movie, she looks like she's some woman from a expensive brothel in her outfits. And then when she dies, she's like the most beautiful thing you've seen. What an alien droid thing is, you know, digging into her cervix and pulling it out.
So we finally get toward the end into the lightsaber duel that we've been hearing about for years. I like it, but I think it runs a little bit long. I think once they get on Mustafar, the volcanic planet, it's good. like when they're indoors and they're battling and they're going real fast with their lightsabers, when it gets more outdoors and they start swinging like Tarzan, you know, like flying around. I think it goes on a little too long, but I do think it's a really good battle that we kind of been waiting for, because Anakin's been so agitated with Obi-Wan for so long that you kind of knew it was going to come to a head. And I don't think it's as good actually as some of the other lightsaber battles in the film, but I do enjoy it. I do like how, you know, Anakin, ends up, losing some limbs of his body once again, and
he gets set on fire by the lava. I mean, how brutal is that?
That's, and then, of course,
that's Obi-Wan acting as well.
And then Obi-Wan tells him, I loved you, and and then he goes, I hate you. You cannot come back. His eyes go, Sith red, and he goes, I hate you, and you realize there's no coming back from this. And Obi-Wan sits there and watches. He starts to slide down closer to the lava, catches on fire, and you think he's dead, but here comes along, the Emperor to save him and put him back together. And he asks, hey,
in pain.
He's already, so we see him in Darth Vader outfit, Hayden Christensen, for the first time, and he asks him, the Emperor, what happened to Padma? When he finds out, he does his no. And I think it's a good lightsaber battle that runs a little bit too long.
I liked it. I don't think it's too long. I think it's too CGI'd. I think that's the problem, especially when they're up on the thing fighting the volcano and all this other stuff. It just, especially when Obi-Wan could have just killed him instantly. He's not that great with his lightsaber, obviously, if Obi-Wan could destroy him. But what about the massive twist at the end? That Yoda says to Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon's back. He's back.
I was always wondering why we never got to see him in ghost form, because that is something that's already established. And if anybody needed someone to come back and talk into his ear and be like, hey, why are you doing this stuff? Not once do we. What I remember in Attack of the Clones is supposedly when he goes off on the Sand People, they add the audio of Qui-Gon going, no, no. But not once in the prequel trilogy after Qui-Gon gets killed does he come back in spirit form and kind of tutor him and be like, look, you're doing things wrong, which, again, there's just a lot of inconsistency.
I can tell you why. I can tell you why it wasn't. Because he wasn't signed up for the other films.
Yeah, if there was somebody that should have been talking to him, right? Like, hey, man, what's going on? The way Obi-Wan did to Luke Skywalker. I don't know. That's up to Lucas. He's writing these films. These are his babies. But again, I think he needed his ex-wife or somebody who could really look these things over and make sure that you got your facts straight and you're being consistent with what you've already established in the original trilogy. And there's a lot of and I know the prequel trilogy has its fans. I do think they got better from 1 to 2 to 3.
Oh yeah.
I think as a whole, they're hard for me to rewatch. This is probably the most action-packed, but at times it feels a little bit soulless, a little bit. And I think that
the Anakin moments, especially with Padme, feels like he's just, he doesn't feel like he actually loves her. It feels like he's trying to possess her in the third one.
A lot is lost with the digital world. When there's green screens everywhere, it's kind of like the way Marvel has become a lot lately, even DC with the Aquaman films. I don't mind CGI. It just there needs to be a balance between the practical effects and the CGI. Yeah. But when Lucas was stubborn and he was set in his ways and he wasn't going to listen to anybody. These are his films and he can do what he wants. And I did see this in the theaters in 2005. Like I said, I did enjoy it, but it's still the weakest of the trilogies. You have the original trilogy, prequel trilogy, sequel trilogy. it's still lacking. It's still it almost makes me think at times, did we need the prequels at all? Maybe it's just left to our imaginations.
Yeah.
I
But
still kind of
the question is, who's worse, Anakin, right, in this, or Kylo Ren when it comes to being crybabies? I mean,
well, we'll get to those. We'll get to those films. I think that Kylo is more emo, where I think Anakin is more just a whiny, privileged, entitled little brat that, you know, sometimes, and you know, I've said this before on different movies and subjects, that for the most part, prequels rub me the wrong way because they end up over explaining stuff that maybe didn't need to be explained to begin with. Like if these films weren't made, I wouldn't be like disappointed.
No.
Like if I don't know. I just feel like he catered these toward kids, not so much this film, but obviously Phantom Menace. But the Star Wars films have been about all ages, not just kids. I mean, when the original films came out, people of all ages loved it. It wasn't just kids. I felt like there was a lot of just humor that was misplaced. You know, way too many children. My God, there's so many kids in this prequel films. You know, like just kids, baby, the little Greedo, little, you know, Jedi Knight. It's almost like we could just leave that to the imagination, but everybody, there's kids everywhere, and it's like Lucas. Yeah, it's definitely
a couple of things. A couple of things about this movie. When they're fighting in the lava, when that android thing flies over, and it's like, I'm getting the fuck out of it, bye, and flies off. It's like, what the hell was that about? Right? Like, where did that come from? And I honestly think this should be called the Love Hurts trilogy. Because everyone goes, I loved you, Anakin. Anakin's mum dies. Padme loves him, but her love is abusive and basically destroys the man he could have been. Then you got Palpatine, Darth Sidious, who also loves him because he loves his power. And you're like, this should be the Love Hurts trilogy because everybody except Yoda loves him. And all of them technically destroy him together.
And the film, not until maybe the last 10 minutes, because it kind of goes into the next trilogy, it finally felt like a Star Wars film when Obi-Wan takes Luke and Leia, goes to Tatooine, and gives the uncle and aunt the bait, you know, the children, and then we know he's going to be a hermit and hang out on the planet. And then the music kind of hits, and I'm like, oh my God, for the first time in 3 films, the last 10 minutes actually feel like a Star Wars film, and it makes you kind of sad, or makes me sad. I was like, it could have been more like that. It could have been more nostalgic, if the storytelling would have been better, if there would have been a more balanced practical and a little bit of CGI. And it never, none of these, because we are coming to the end of the trilogy, I will just say none of the films gave me that, no matter how much action's in the film. And even with John Williams' score, it still felt like there was something was missing watching all of them. It just, and I will say the sequel trilogy did capture some of that. So I know it's not just me that I got older and I became, you know, too much of an adult and that kid in me was gone. No, the kid's still there. It's just the story, the filmmaking, the over-reliance on computer effects. It's kind of like, you know, it's soulless at times. It just doesn't feel authentic.
Well, I remember when I was a kid, because this came out, I was 2005, right?
19 years ago.
So I basically watched the films from, I think, when I was 13 till I was 17, right? These ones. And this film, I remember watching it and going, oh, this film's so epic. Oh, wow. Look, it's Darth Vader. It's become Darth Vader. I watch it again and I'm like, wow, that's so anticlimactic, the way he just sits up and then starts screaming, you know? It just feels anticlimactic. It doesn't feel powerful enough to kind of make you go, oh, wow, so that's how it started. And I forgot he basically became evil an hour into the movie. Until I started watching it, and I was like, what? So it just shows that things can feel different when you're, you know, watching.
Sorry, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. I didn't mean to cut you off. Apologies. So, the lightsabers. Out of 10 lightsabers, where do you rank Revenge of the Sith?
I'm going to give Revenge of the Sith out of 10. I'm going to give it a 6.5.
I'm going to give it a 5. That's a very average review. I do think it's the strongest of the prequel trilogy. I still do have a lot of issues with it, but at least it went there with the violence, with the PG-13 rating. The lightsaber duels are, outrageous, and there's a lot of action, but it almost seems like at times the movie doesn't breathe. It's almost. I will say this. I think as much as George Lucas downplays it, in his mind, the whole talk of these other films, the Matrix films, the Harry Potters, the Lord of the Rings, were really taking a lot of steam from him. There were, a lot of people were kind of putting Star Wars in the past. And I think he did take some, notes from those films. And he really felt like he had to really up the action because the attention span of fans had changed. They wanted immediate gratification. And maybe he felt like they were less story oriented and wanted to action all the time. And I do love that. But if you go watch the original films now, they're not slow, but they feel slow compared to watching the prequel. You know what I'm saying? Like these ones feel like, oh my God, it's just too much action, too much it needs to, you know what I mean? Like just the attention span that doesn't give you time to breathe.
Well, I feel like a lot of people, like with the original trilogy, I feel like even though they might not be as fast as these ones, I do feel like they're more fleshed out in the characters. So you care more, like the whole Yoda training Luke Skywalker and stuff. You kind of feel like it's more natural. You feel like a part of it.
Alex, hello, gents.
Alex T. There he is.
So now we finished the prequel trilogy. Before we get on,
thing to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it? And one of the things. So, okay, near the end, where Obi-Wan goes in, and Padme's landing, and she goes, "Is Anakin okay?" There's a bit where Anakin looks at her and touches her face like, "He's dead, but you can have me now." Did you notice that?
I think I missed that. You were paying attention to the details.
Yeah, he was looking at her like, "Look, if he's not going to smack it anymore, I might." That's what it looked like. I'm telling you.
Yes, Natalie Portman is perfectly cast in the films. She always looks great. She's absolutely beautiful in this film. And
why didn't we get a sex scene between them?
That's the porn parody. That's not going to happen.
She could have said, "Show me your lightsaber, Anakin, your pink one."
May the Schwartz be with you.
Yeah, there you go.
So we're done with the prequel trilogy. Before we move on to the original trilogy, we're trying to stay in chronological order. We're gonna do Solo, a Star Wars story, Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Those will be the next two. Then we'll jump onto the original trilogy, and then we'll end with the sequel trilogy. I want to make sure before I forget. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll be back soon. I will give a sneak preview. I don't know the exact date. I'm trying to work out the details, but we're going to do Cinematic Fart Blower Theater for Doctor Strange 2. The sequel directed by Sam Raimi. The Multiverse of Madness. I like the title. It's very much like John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness, but the fact that it's going to be part of Cinematic Fart Blower Theater, you can guess what we think of the film. And actually, there's a lot of parallels between the issues with the prequel films and the recent spat of Marvel films where, I mean, it's just kind of overdoing it with the computer effects, but we'll leave that for another time. And thank you everybody for watching. Thank you, Malcolm, for spending part of your day with me. And We'll talk to everybody soon. May the Force be with you, and we'll be back for Solo, a Star Wars story, and Doctor Strange 2 in the near future. Thank you guys for watching. Take care.
Take care, guys.